tea.
His jokes, the way he laughs when he tells a funny. He had this like half-gallon of green tea that he had gotten from the grocery store, and he thought of this joke, and he ran in the kitchen and he grabbed a green cup and he was like, "Mom, green tea."
That's Katie Proudfoot telling a journalist about her missing son, Sebastian Rogers, but you'd be forgiven for not knowing that based on how much fun she seems to be having. After all, even the journalist said that she could sense joy. So in today's video, let's continue watching the rest of this interview and spotting all the red flags. If you're not aware, this is my 4th video analyzing this interview. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, don't worry, I'll link my playlist at the end. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit like and subscribe. For early access to new videos, exclusive videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. As I said, we're going to be wrapping up the interview and then looking back at their most bizarre statements from earlier parts of the interview. So before we grab our deception decks and start analyzing, here's a quick recap of what I mean by that. On your screen now is the leakage card from my deception deck, if you want the entire breakdown. But the gist is that liars can unintentionally reveal the truth through their choice of words. If someone repeatedly uses a bizarre phrase or word, it might be worth looking into. Like all the cards in the deception deck, I've included a real-world example, but if you've been here for a while, you'll know that we've used leakage in multiple true crime cases now, and even when we look back with 2020 hindsight, the leakage is apparent. All right, without further ado, let's pick up where we left off.
Oh. I sense lots of joy that's being missed right now.
Green tea.
His jokes, the way he laughs when he tells a funny. He had there's a video that I put out that he was being goofy, and he had this like half-gallon of green tea that he had gotten from the grocery store, and he thought of this joke, and he ran in the kitchen and he grabbed a green cup and he was like, "Mom, green tea." And it was just so funny, and I was just like, "Dude, hold on, you gotta do that again." And I grabbed my phone and I was like, "You gotta do it again." And he was like, "Green tea." And he was just like, it's not in the video, but he was just rolling because he just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And
He's got some quirky one-liners.
oh God, he was getting he was getting to where he had some good ones.
Sounds like a great sense of humor.
It was definitely developing. He was coming into his sarcasm. You know, like one of the other videos I released, when it's hard to hear, but we were bowling, and because he has a lot of fun with it. He actually was getting a lot better without bumpers. But he like rolled a good roll, and he turns around and he's like, "You got wrecked, Mom." And I was just like, what is happening right now? But I mean, I miss that, you know.
No leakage yet, at least none that I caught, but don't worry, it's coming. I just wanted to pause here to remark on all this laughing and giggling and the actual stories that Katie's telling. Everybody grieves differently, at least that's what I've been told. But there's typically parameters, and when it's the mother of a missing child on TV, typically when she's wistfully reminiscing about her kid, she's telling stories that are endearing, not just anecdotes for the sake of being funny, and especially not anecdotes that put the kid in a bad light, like "You got wrecked, Mom." And that's because these wistful reminiscences are done for a purpose, typically, like we saw with Desiree Young, the mother of Kyron Hormone, who I think sincerely had nothing to do with her son's disappearance. When she talked about him in the past, it was to make the audience feel like they needed to help him, to have a bond with him, that he was a sweet little boy, that he had a great relationship with his brother, that he was someone who was loved and worth saving. The stories that Katie's telling just don't seem to have that purpose, which makes me wonder why she's telling them. What actually endeared him to me were the stories his biological father, Seth Rogers, told. Those were stories designed to make me feel like I needed to urgently help him, that he was loved, and that he needed to be found right away.
Your ex-wife allowed Sebastian to be in a situation where he was molested and raped?
In California. and Chris in her apartment. They let a child who was 5 years older than my son play with my son and didn't bother to check on him there neither. And he lost his innocence because of it.
Seth, I'm so sorry to hear this. I'm so sorry to hear this. No child should be subjected to any kind of abuse whatsoever. Sexual abuse can be especially traumatic for a young child. Is this something that Sebastian has struggled with since then?
Yeah, I finally was able to actually start getting him therapy for it last year. The fact is that they weren't doing the correct thing, clearing California. And it's just last year finally getting him help because he's a victim. And now I'm finding out not only was, he was a victim of that, he's a victim of not getting the help he needs. And, I've listened to some of their podcasts where they make fun of him, make fun of his dancing. Chris obviously has this thing about corporal discipline with him. And it's just... it's not good.
Seth, I'm so sorry.
I need to find my son.
Right.
And he's going to need extensive therapy now to put him back on the right track.
The contrast is unmistakable. One paints him as a boy who can take care of himself and is brash. The other as a victim who needs help. Our help. All right, let's keep listening.
He's around and he's like, "You got wrecked, Mom." And I was just like, what is happening right now? But I mean, I miss that, I miss being able to hang out with him, because he's not little anymore, which we had a lot of fun when he was little, but when they get older, you start being able to do different things with them, and game nights are, God, they're a blast sometimes.
We didn't have pool days this year.
Pool days. It's big in the summer. He loves to go to the pool as much as possible. Swims. Oh God, he loves to swim. He's I don't know if I put that picture out or not, but there's one that I took of him. He has on this like giant, I think it was a flamingo, and he was just like just being a cool guy.
Being a fun kid. For our viewers, before we end this, I guess your message for them is just keep hope alive.
Yes. Remember him.
Keep looking.
Share his face, because talking about him is what we want to do, but we want to make sure that people know his face. We want to know that people know who they're looking for, and we would just ask that everyone just kind of be aware of your surroundings in general. You never know, and all it takes is just one person that could make a difference. And go ahead.
I would say, if anything, constantly being vigilant, just looking out there, aware of what your surroundings are. Please, if you see something, call 911, call TBI. I know there's a lot of other things out there, but
We would encourage.
it needs to be segregated, like just a single point of right back to law enforcement. That's where it needs to go. Anybody that sees anything, just report it, please.
Do you feel that there's someone out there right now that knows something? They're just not saying it?
It's hard to say until we can run down this video and figure out what we're seeing. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to, because it's an active investigation. I don't want to add any more
Rumor.
chaos that's already out there. We just want to keep this to the core, Sebastian.
In my last video, I pointed out something that Katie said, which I thought could potentially be leakage, or her revealing through her word choice that she knows that Sebastian is buried somewhere. And that's when she said, if he were to come in through the front door, she would bulldoze him with hugs. I pointed it out because it's such a bizarre choice of words and an expression I've never heard before. So as we continue listening on in this interview, we're going to listen out for words related to digging and hiding things in the earth, whether it's digging machinery or words related to the soil or anything along those lines. That was a clip from one of my earlier videos analyzing this interview, and it's why I'm pausing now, because of what Chris just said. When he thinks about finding Sebastian, he thinks about getting to the core of things, which could be leakage about him thinking about something in the earth, as in the core of the earth. Now, is this a long shot? Of course it is, and if it were the only example of leakage like this, I wouldn't even be noting it. But it's not. As I said in that clip, when Katie thought about Sebastian coming home, her brain went to bulldozers of all things. And if I were to play the rest of that clip, I was pointing out two other things that she said, that they should leave no stone unturned, and that they need to get to the bottom of things. Again, on their own, these are nothing. They're common expressions. But enough drops make a river, so we're noting it.
This to the core, Sebastian.
Keeping hope alive.
Yes.
The
Keeping
search
hope
goes
alive.
on. We are hopeful and we are praying for you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for talking with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is to viewers.
My message would be, first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for helping spread his flyer, his story.
That's the end of the interview. So here's a quick montage of all the ground and burial related leakage we've caught in this interview alone. As I already pointed out, Katie said I would bulldoze him with hugs. She would leave no stone unturned, and they need to get to the bottom of things. In the comments, many of you pointed out that they said we are going to keep digging rather than some alternative like we're going to keep searching or we're going to keep looking. Others pointed out phrases Katie used like bottomless pit or even falling to the bottom of the social media feed. And one of my favorites, because it's such a long shot, when Chris talked about it being like Groundhog Day, which has to do with dirt and holes. This one really resonates with me as well because it contradicts what they said in another part of the interview. They said that having a missing child was like a roller coaster where every day is different. So the fact that then the next breath they said that it's like Groundhog Day, where every day is the same, is really unusual. Apparently the Proudfoots have another interview coming out soon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my analysis of that. On the end card, I'll put my Sebastian Rogers playlist and my playlist of all 4 parts of this interview analysis. Until next time, stay true.